Hello, I'm EntropicVoxels, and I'm going to be breaking down my song from Frostfyre Volume 6, Terraprisma. So, let's start with the intro. I guess the first thing that I really laid down was this atmosphere layer. You know, pretty simple. And on top of that, there are the chords. So these are just pretty standard chords in like A major. I just put them down here first, and then I made another version of them, which had like the strum, like, you know, you can see them strumming down, and a little extra melody. Bum, 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 bum. That's like the melody of this intro section. So then I layered it with Toho sound font that's playing the extra melody. And I'm layering it with another Toho sound font that's playing the chords. So yeah, and together you get this like piano synthy bit, and of course I have a reverbed out like tail of this like synth going in, so it's, you know, it sounds like that. The first thing to come in next is this like granular layer. I think it's really pretty. I love granular sounds like this. And then I have more granular layers, like there's this one. This is probably the most loud one. And I have this like wood block, which you can barely hear it. I don't even know what that's doing. That's just like a wood block that's going through the same kind of fruity granulizer thing. I guess just to add extra textures and things. And the next thing that's happening is there's this, oh my god, there's this respace. Why can't I hear that? Please. There. There's this respace, which is pretty simple. Like the serum patch itself is very simple. It's just, you know, respace, low pass. However, it has a lot of processing, and that's what's making it complicated. So I'm frequency splitting it between the lows and the like mids and highs. The lows are just getting compressed, and the highs are getting overdriven, and they're getting reverbed. So there's this vocodex, which is, I think I'm using the Reverb 2 preset, which is, I love this preset. You'll see it come up later in the song, and just reverb. So it makes the, you know, it makes the Reese feel like it has a lot of space. And then both of these are going to this, where they're just getting like distorted together. And it sounds like very full, and it has stereo wideness without like having a stereo sub or feeling muddy or anything like that. I also have these plucks, which are, you know, the filter cutoff is getting increased. They're pretty standard, like saw plucks. The main thing that's making them interesting is this Serum Effects, which has a combs filter, which is basically just giving them kind of a metallic sound, you know? And then they're going through an OTT, and there's a high pass that goes on and off throughout the track, and another high pass. So yeah, and just another thing, like helping the transition into this part with the drums and the Reese, is this Paper Skies sample, which is really pretty, and it like, you know, just feels like, you know, it's bringing you to the next section. I also have this little like arc thing. Oh my god, why is it not? Please. Again, really pretty. I think it was inspired by like, I've heard something like this in a lot of Syntheon tracks, and it was inspired by that, even though this is very different from what Syntheon makes. So yeah, and then I'll just go over the other things before I get to the drums. There's this just ARP, which it's another Toho sound font. It's a harp that's going through the same processing as the plucks. And then there's this, which is a harmor preset, if I remember correctly. It's just playing the chords, it's going through a transcape and some reverb. It's just to give more layers, more, like, fill it out even more. Next, I think that's everything. Now I'm getting to drums. So, drums, very lo-fi. Almost all from like one specific lo-fi sample pack, except for this, which is I sampled from a loop, because the way that I figured out the rhythm for this these drums was I copied the rhythm of this placeholder loop that I just put in there when I just wanted to get a groove down. It's from a lo-fi sample pack. And I basically copied the groove from it, but just like made all the sounds more specific to my liking and added some more like extra things. Then there's like a super simple sidechain. Why is it shaped like that? That's a weird shape. I don't know why I did that. That's just playing for the kick. And then I have just a hi-hat loop and a final loop, which stays for this section. So, going into the breakdown, there's just, some transition effects, sweeps and stuff. Standard stuff. I also, I'm controlling the volume of the atmosphere loop here. I'm having it go down here so that it's very, it's still present, but it's very in the background for this breakdown. So the main bit of this breakdown is this one melody. For this one, I basically just designed this whole thing, specifically with this synth in mind. It's a Club Penguin sound font, I think. It's a Club Penguin Elite Penguin Force sound font. I love the sound of it. It sounds really cool. And it has a pretty simple descending, these aren't chords, this is just like implied chords. Just like very simple, it's descending in A major, and has this I think the sound is really nostalgic. And I'm layering another piano in there, just doing the boom, bam, boom, bam. And then there's another, no, this one's a Toho sound font. It's just an electric piano doing the same melody. My computer is lagging. Sorry, this is a very laggy project file. I hope it hasn't been too much of a problem. It's just doing the same thing. One thing I really wanted to get in there is this, that slide. That slide for me is very, nostalgic. It reminds me of a lot of, of course, this was heavily inspired by, this section specifically, oh my god, was so inspired by, Undertale music, which is just a massive inspiration for me in general. They have this, which is just playing chords, just another layer, and then I have just hi-hat, which is just keeping the rhythm. And then there's this section. And it goes into the build-up. So the build-up, well, first of all, I keep this stuff there for the most part. This stuff is still playing, but there are, I don't know where it is, but they're getting high-passed over the course of the build-up. I have onto the new stuff in the build-up. So there's this bass. Am I supposed to be able to hear that? Okay, yeah. Which is basically just a copy of the bass from before, but it's like a pluck now. And it's doing the root notes of the chords. And this built-up flux. It's basically the same, except I turned off the combs filter so that it sounds more full, because the combs filter made it sound more thin, which is what I wanted before, but here I want it to be like, you know, the classic sawpluck sound. These, you know, granular layers are the same. They're still here. Brought the hi-hat loop back. I have this thing. I don't know why that's there. I think that's just to... because I pitched it into F sharp, so I guess I wanted it to be like... I wanted it to feel like the key was transitioning into F sharp, because it starts off in A major, the drop is in F sharp minor. I have this transition paper skies thing again. And then, is there anything else? Oh, there. Oh, I love this. There's this, like, extra, like, ARP. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. And that is this. This is just a bit from the drop, which I'm slowly, like, low passing in. Just to get that, like, just to tease the drop a bit, you know? Which is a classic build-up thing. Then I have claps, you know? Then I have snare and a kick. Then a stronger snare comes in. I don't remember where the automation is, but these are all getting high-passed, of course. Because otherwise they'd be really clashing. Next, one thing I really like is this, like, super fast snare buildup. This, like, really keeps the rhythm of the buildup there the whole time, like, keeps the momentum, and pitching it up as it goes further. I love that. So yeah, and then I have more transition sounds as we go into the pre-drop. I have this, like, little piano that's there in the drop too. It's playing this little melody that really just, like, leads into the F sharp minor chord, which the drop starts off with. And there are more just, like, transition things. Like, I have, you know, more sweeps and stuff, and this cymatics glass break sound effect, which I used a couple times. So as you can probably tell, the drop has a lot going on. So I'm gonna, where do I even start? Okay, I know where to start. I'll start with like how I came up with the idea of the drop. So I started off basically by just, like, mapping it out just on a piano. Getting, like, the rhythm of the chords and the things down, you know? You know, this is the same rhythm of everything that you hear in the actual drop. So I put this down knowing, like, just to get the rhythm down, to get the feel of the drop down, to make it feel, like, catchy, you know, so that it's something that you can, something that you can hum to yourself. I don't want there to be too many sounds happening at once. So I think mapping it out on a piano or some other instrument is a good way to get that down. So, like, I put this down knowing that this would be some kind of bass, and knowing that these would be, like, you know, color bass stabs or something like that, and knowing that these would, I'm sorry for my computer being laggy, and I knew that these would be, like, massive melodic dubstep chords. So yeah, for that, I'm just gonna go over the drums really quickly. Simple kick, snare, kick, snare, reversed snare into snare, then rides, more rides, more rides that are just, like, panned a bit, so it's more wideness. Then, yep, that's the drum loop. I have just, like, ton of, you know, crashes and white noise and everything like that, just to make it feel massive and huge, you know. Okay. So the first layer is this, which is just a... Oh my god. Sorry. Okay, that layer was just a super saw mixed with the super square. Pretty simple. This next one is, I think it's, super saw killer. I followed the AU5 tutorial for making what he called the super saw killer, which is basically like a really noisy saw chord thing that makes a use of like FMing from the noise oscillator. Just a filtered regular saw layer. So yeah. Then there's the bass. So there's two layers. First layer is a really like simple just like noise saw distorted going into a low pass. Wow, with a big low shelf just to boost the sub, I guess. And it's layered with this thing. Then there's the lead. I really like this lead. So there's sorry, 2 layers to it. Both of them are made in Citrus. I guess like this is the most simple one. It's just a hypersaw preset. Next one is this, which is going through an absolute buttload of effects. But on its own, oh no, that clicked on the wrong thing. But on its own, without effects, it's just like a sine wave with some extra harmonics. And I think I put some, I don't remember what I put. I don't remember how Citrus works. I'm sorry. I made this lead like many months ago. But there's some like, you know, citrusy, like almost FM-y like noise in the high end. I accentuated it with these effects. I think it sounds really good layered with the chords, you know? So, okay, that's all just for the chords. Next thing, the most prominent thing is the, this growl, which of course is like layered with the sub, you know? So then, of course, the stabs themselves. There are several layers. This is the first layer, and I think probably the most foundational layer. It's just 3 sounds going through a resonator. So I guess I'll start with the first one. And then there's... I don't even remember how I made this. This is just like a vocodery, like glitch sound. And there's this, which I made in Vital. It's a pretty simple sound. It's just like it has a lot of like disperser artifacts. Then the next layer, I think, is these. It's all of these bleepy bloops. Give me a sec. I'm gonna. This thing? Yeah, I love these. I've made entire songs based around these. If you listen to Starlight, pretty much all of the sounds in that, or not, all of the drop sounds in that are just like bleep bloops like these. I rendered all of them out. Oh, and then there's this, which is a Shark's transient, and they have this, which is just a noise layer. I think I just added those because I was like, it needs to sound slightly more full. Then I have this, which is just a piano. Okay, so that's pretty much those are the main elements of the drop. It's just me going back and forth between chords, growls, and color-based stabs, but I'll go over some extra sounds. And I think the last new thing is just this section. Then they're just going into some more sounds. So I have this just like thing I made in Harmor like 4 years ago. And then I have the glass breaking sound effect again. This glass breaking sound effect is getting resonated, by the way. I thought that sounded cool. Then I have this, just more Harmor. Just doing a and then I have this. This is a Rye 3 sample. And then it loops, and pretty much everything's the same when it loops, just like, the chord variations and stuff. And yeah, for the ending is where the chords, it does the transition back to the chords from the beginning of the song. It goes back to A major. And, the melody is doing like this quick variation of the melody from the breakdown. And then in the transition, I don't know why I did all this manually. I really should have had them all go through a bus and just done it like that, or done Transgate or something like that. But I decided to manually automate the volume of all of these to get the future bass chords effect, So it's just like the saw chords from the drop are playing the chords from the beginning, and there's transitions, there's all sorts of crashes and stuff. And then some of the elements from the beginning getting reintroduced. So the atmosphere is back. The atmosphere is pretty much constant throughout the song, except for in the drop. So the atmosphere comes back. The chords from before come back. And as you continue, just more stuff from the intro comes back. This melody comes back. Oh, I just realized I forgot to go over this in the beginning. It's pretty simple. It's just it's a Toho synth and the Toho piano. They're just going through an OTT, getting compressed, and the high end is being brought out, and then just being reverbed and delayed, Pretty simple stuff. So yeah, the saw chords drop out, there's a transition, and then it goes into the second breakdown. This time, it's the same melody, just with a different instrument, and it's going through the Vocodex Reverb 2 preset again, and it's going through Fruity Reverb 2, just to give it some space. And then there's this other layer, which is a music box. Then I have this bass. Super simple. It's literally just a triangle. So yeah, then it continues like it did before, goes into the second build-up, and the second build-up is mostly the same as the first build-up. The main new thing in the second build-up is this lead, which is just playing the same melody. The pre-drop melody is the same. I'm just turning on a Vocodex so that it sounds more watery, because I thought that would be a cool variation. And the second drop is mostly the same as the first, but there's this fake out. But then it goes back to the breakdown, the same melody. And it's the same as before, except I have this, the respace from the intro is now playing in the outro. And this is a very poorly organized project file. Do not organize your projects like I do. So then, this is the ending of the breakdown. It's just going into... It's just the melody, except it resolves back to A at the end. And it's doing the same thing. And now the effector that's on the master is finally coming, it's turning on, and it's doing this it's doing a sweep down, so it feels like, it's winding down, and I have this sound effect. So yeah, that's the song. Very big project file, very disorganized project file. In the future, I'm trying to get better at organizing my project files, so yeah. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Comment below if you have any more specific questions about how I made anything. I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. So yeah, I think that's it. Bye bye.